I'm Charisse.
And I'm Holly.
Welcome to the Ask Mom series. Today we are talking about
Sex.
So
I had a question come in this week from a girl who is in her teens and has been dating someone for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Most of her friends are sexually active, and they talk a lot about that. And she thought she was ready to have sex, and because it seemed like the right time.
Because her friends were doing it.
Mm-hmm. And her question really to me was, what can I expect when I'm having sex for the first time? But I wasn't really ready to talk about that because I wanted to know, why are you having sex? Like, let's talk about why you're having it.
Why you feel it's necessary.
Right. Why you felt like it was time.
When I was growing up, my mom gave me the sex talk, and it went like this. Don't think you're going to be bringing a baby home to the house and have me take care of that baby. Okay, you can go back to your room now. That was my sex talk.
And you know what? That's a lot compared to what some girls get.
That's true too. That's true too.
And then if you watch, most of the shows on television today that a lot of teenagers are drawn to, you should be having sex, right? I mean, that's what they're all telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Almost all of the popular characters are all having sex. Rarely is there any consequence. It's just, what you do as a teenager.
Right.
The message that goes out is, well, it's going to happen. There's no way to stop it. Kids are just going to have sex. And so, there's no point in really doing or saying anything.
Right.
So I think a lot of parents feel powerless against helping their kids, so they really do say nothing or do nothing. Or they just give you such limited input, like, don't bring a baby home, or you're not supposed to have sex yet, you're too young.
Right.
Which doesn't really tell you anything.
That's not good, yeah.
Because when you're married, there's so much more involved because there's love, there's commitment,
Definitely.
there's I'm going to be there for you if something happens, there's,
right.
You're a treasure to him.
Right.
And being sexually active with him is not satisfying a need like using the bathroom. It's that it's an important part of how you express love to each other.
Right.
In a way that's safe. Right?
Correct.
As safe as sex can possibly be. That's safe sex, getting married.
Yeah.
But the reasons why people tend to have sex are all their peers are doing it.
Right.
So it feels like there must be something wrong with me if no one wants to have sex with me, or if I'm not having sex. He might leave me. Mm-hmm. You're dating someone and he's putting on a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think curiosity plays a big role. You're just curious. You want to know, well, what does it feel like? Mm-hmm. And, when you're in the moment and you're with him and, he's touching you and you haven't really given a lot of thought to your future or what you want or, how far you're going to let something go with a boy, then it's easy to just let all those, just let it slide and go with how you're feeling in the moment. And frankly, he's not going to be the one to say, we're going a little bit too far, we need to stop. No. He's not going to be that. And so you're going to be the brakes. Because very few boys have been raised to think that respecting a girl means, not expecting her to sleep with you.
When you get married to that wonderful guy that you're going to be getting married to, it doesn't make it, exciting that you've been with that many other people.
No.
And then when you've been with that many people, you multiply how many those people have been with, and that's pretty much how many people you've slept with. I'm not good at math, but that's just a lot of people.
Right. And, you will bring one or several of those people into your bedroom when you're married. Mm-hmm. Because there's going to be a time when the memory comes back while you're having sex with your spouse, and you're going to remember the boy you had sex with in high school, or the boy you had sex with in college, or whatever. And you just don't want it there. What you want is to be able to give all of yourself in that moment to the person that you're with. And you don't want those other memories to come flooding back about someone else, or how you were mistreated, or whatever. What you want is to be 100% in the moment with your spouse, which is a good reason to wait. Mm-hmm.
But I do think there's a lot of girls at 16, this is it, this is the guy I'm going to marry, and so it's okay, and like you were saying, everybody else is doing it, what's the big deal? And the moment you break up, you realize it wasn't forever, and he moves on to somebody else, and
Well, exactly. And that's where you really have to take your mind. You have to think, worst case scenarios in all of these things. You have to think, will he leave me? Probably. Am I going to be okay with the fact that I was sexually active with him and he's going to go be sexually active with my friend or with someone else at school, and I'm going to watch them walk down the same halls arm in arm, knowing that they're doing what we were doing just a couple of months ago.
Or you can guarantee that if it ends up in a bad breakup, that he's going to be telling everybody about your sexual escapades.
Right.
Right?
Particularly if it ends up a bad breakup.
Yeah,
he's going to be happy to exploit whatever the two of you did.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, you have
true.
to ask yourself those questions, and that's part of maturity also, I think. If you're not mature enough to even go there and think about those things, oh my gosh, the last thing you should be doing is having sex.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly right. I mean, if you can't have these conversations with him, you should not be having sex with him.
Right.
If you can't sit down and say, okay, we're really serious, we're definitely going to have sex, okay, you need to go to the doctor, you need to get on birth control. If this is an absolute, you're going to do it, you need to go get on birth control, and you need to be on it at least a month.
And the pregnancy and even if you're on birth control, it doesn't protect against sexually transmitted diseases.
Exactly.
And some of those last with you for a lifetime. You get one, one that's a lifetime one, that's it. And
you have to think through pregnancy. You have to think, what am I going to tell my parents if I get pregnant? You need to be able to sit down with him and say, if something were to happen and we were to get pregnant, what's your plan? What are we going to do about it? Because if we can't talk about that, we're not ready to have sex.
That's really true.
And then we've talked about, how is it going to affect your relationship when you finally do find the real Mr. Right, the one that asks you to marry him, the one that you're going to spend your life with. It's going to affect you emotionally with him, and it's also going to affect, think about the children you're going to have that are going to ask you the questions, well, Mom, did you wait? And Mom, did you make good choices? Did you make bad choices? And, those are things you're going to have to share at some point to some level with your kids if you love them. That relationship that was so sweet and so fun, and you held hands and you made out and you went to movies and you did all of that. Now, every time you make out, he is thinking, this leads to sex. Emotionally, it makes you feel like he expects it. And sometimes that can make you feel a little bit used. No, I mean, it is so stressful. You don't need that, particularly when you're a teenager. Just enjoy the fact that you're learning about what kind of guy do I want to marry? Is he like the kind of guy I might want to marry? I mean, does he have the personality I'm looking for? Does he make me feel good and happy? Does he treat me with respect? I mean, those are the kinds of things you should be learning from dating. The other thing is the actual act of sex with a 16-year-old boy. And frankly, your friends that are telling you how great it is, most of those friends feel great about it because it does feel good to have someone touch you. It's just the absolute truth. But when you're in your teenage years and you're having sex with a boy, he is excited about the act of having sex with you. He is not interested in loving you.
Right.
And so what's going to happen is he's going to touch you. That's going to feel good. And then he's going to have intercourse with you. And it is going to be over so fast that you're not going to know it hit you. And you're not even going to begin to feel what women are supposed to feel when they have a loving sexual act with their spouse.
Right.
Because he's not capable of doing that because he has no control over
his junk.
So that is very frank, but it is true. And so if you're expecting to have this euphoric experience having sex with a teenage boy, it is not going to happen.
Right. In high school, hearing stories, clearly girls talk, boys talk, whatever. And it was never an intimate moment or a wonderful experience. It was in some park somewhere. It was on the dirt somewher.
It was in the back of a car.
The back of a truck with people walking all around.
Hiding in your bedroom.
Yeah, I mean, in a closet, right? I mean, it was never in a beautiful, romantic place that two people, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And the peer pressure point that I want to make, too, is that it feels like high school is forever. And it feels like the friends that you've made in high school will be your friends forever. And if you're getting pressure from your friends that, oh, this is the right thing to do, or you're going to lose him if you don't, or it's so wonderful, you should totally have sex with him because they're all having sex. They're all trying to feel better about their decision. Right. And that is why they want you to. Because when you are in a group of friends, everybody does the same things. You wear the same clothes, you laugh at the same jokes, you like the same movies. All these things are what makes you a cohesive group of friends.
Right.
And if 3 out of the 4 are having sex and the 4th isn't, it's a glaring reminder of, did I make a good choice? Did I do the right thing? And so they want you to have sex partially in their minds because it validates their decision to be able to do it. And these same girls that might pressure you or make you think that that's a good idea, in 4 years when high school's over, are going to go off to their own universities and their own colleges. They're going to move away. They are no longer going to be your influence. And yet the decisions that you made, big life decisions about drinking, about alcohol, about sex, were made within the confines of this friendship that you felt like was forever. And so the pressure that your friends put on you can have such a huge impact on your life. Mm-hmm. And yet, you know, in the end, they're not even going to remember that they pressured you into doing something that not only were you not ready for, but that maybe you didn't even want to do in the first place. So you've got to know what you stand for. Mm-hmm. You got to know, you got to think about your future and your goals and what you want. Mm-hmm. And you have to let those things factor in. Obviously, for Charisse and I, our faith dictates some of those things for us. And so, you know, we believe that, you know, that God asks us to wait until we're married to have sex. And so, and there's reasons for that. It's not because he doesn't want you to have pleasure or to experience something really wonderful. It's because he knows the consequences of what kinds of things can happen and how much hurt can be brought into your life and how you can lose respect for yourself and all kinds of things because of those decisions that we make. And, you know, if you're watching this video and you've already had sex and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I wish I had watched this video, you know, you can always come back from those decisions that you've made. You can decide from here on out, my life is going to look like this. It's just so much harder. Mm-hmm.
But I think now my faith is so much stronger. But when I was in my teens, in my 20s, you know, and before marriage, it wasn't that strong. And so what got me through was more the self-confidence that I had in myself. Like, I don't need to say yes to you for you to like me. There's plenty of other guys out there that, you know, that that I can date and have fun with and not do what you feel that I need to do.
It's interesting when girls write me and they talk about wanting to have sex and wanting my opinion about that or whatever, how many of them say that they feel sorry for the girls that write me that say they are pregnant. And when I suggest that they could be one of those girls, they feel sorry for those girls, but you can see clearly in how they respond back to me, well, that's not going to happen to me.
Yeah. I just assumed it would happen to me. Well, that's where you know what I mean? That was my assumption.
Yeah, that's
this
great.
Is what could happen. And then I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. There's no way.
When you believe in God, you have this strong sense of conviction that you are already loved and treasured. You don't have to earn that from some boy that you're dating. And so that helps you to be able to make a better decision about that. Some other ideas is just, you know, maybe you want to go to college. Maybe you don't want to worry about ending up pregnant and not being able to go to college or finish college.
Right. That happens a lot.
Maybe you just want your teen years to feel carefree. Maybe you think, you know, I just don't need that stress. Mm-hmm. We've already done a few videos on dating and sex, and we talk about it in, they're called Dating and Sex Part 1, and that's kind of about, you know, the first feelings that you have as like an elementary school kid up through maybe 6th or 7th grade. Part 2 and Part 3 are more about really hitting into your teen years and sort of what might you experience and how do things lead to sex. And there's a book that I went through with my kids, and I know Charisse really likes too, and it's called The Purity Code. And it does talk about our spiritual beliefs around sex as well. But even if you didn't have those beliefs and you wanted to get the book just to understand other viewpoints about why waiting is a good idea, and you don't have people that are really discussing that with you, I just really highly recommend you getting that book. And again, it's called The Purity Code. And don't let the media or anybody else tell you it isn't important, because it is important, and it's not just losing your virginity. It's far more than that. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, I lost my virginity and now I can have sex all I want because it doesn't matter. I've already given away my virginity. You know, every time you have sex with somebody that isn't that forever person, you give a piece of yourself away. And we want good things for you, which is why we do these videos.
It's really one of the most important decisions you'll make in your life.
And if you have questions, you can write them to hollycharisse@yahoo.com. We always put it underneath our videos. And we're happy to answer your questions or help you think through these kinds of tough topics.
Tough topics. I'm Charisse.
I'm Holly.
Thanks for watching.